All right. Let's see. Let me know. We are live Tech Thursdays. Welcome, everybody. Let me know in the chat if you can see me, if you can hear me okay. Let me go ahead and see if I am live. Got to make sure. Welcome to Tech Thursdays. Want to make sure that you guys can see me and hear me okay. Just want to see. Mic check, mic check. What's up, beautiful people? Let's go ahead. All right, I think we are live. All right. All right, we are here. I can see myself. All right, welcome to this edition of Tech Thursdays, where we're going to be talking about everything tech, but most importantly, we're going to be essentially going over not just the news, but giving you a lot of insight into the technology world. As you guys know, for those that are new to what it is that we're doing, this is all around giving you that insight. And each story that we connect actually brings you closer to profitability with your own companies and also giving you insight into what is happening in the tech world to also allow for you to profit. At the end of each show, just so you guys know, I always give you a couple like maybe profitability things to look into. Again, it's not financial advice, just so you know, but it can make you more income because we're going to actually be reviewing stocks, and then I'm also going to give you new app ideas, but app ideas that are proven that you can take and be able to create. It is my mission and it is my vision that we are living in one of the greatest times in human history because you get to take anything and build it. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into today's session. Let me know in the chat if you are excited, man, because we got a lot of stuff to cover, and we're gonna go ahead and jump right into it. So, with that being said, welcome to again this Tech Thursday. This is the second episode, again, where we go over everything. So let's jump into the first story of the day, which is, I told y'all, there's a lot of, there's always acquisitions. And the way to grow any company is acquisition, especially if you are like Salesforce, where your stock has been kind of taking a massive dump, right? The Salesforce stock hasn't been doing so well. All right. So if you didn't know, you probably have heard of Intercom. When you say Salesforce buys Fin, if you haven't heard of Intercom, many of you have probably heard of Intercom. It was one of kind of the first chat softwares that I used over the past couple of years. They were actually acquired, I think yesterday, for $3.6 billion. Salesforce decided to purchase them. And over the last couple of years, they've really changed. They changed their name. Like I said, they used to be Intercom for a number of years, and then they changed their name to Fin, right? They've been around. They actually started off as a customer service software, and then they actually went ahead and changed their name, and they've evolved to AI agents and bots, and many companies use them. The lesson, like I like to always say with this, man, is like longevity is key. All right, longevity is key. Most people want this kind of overnight success. And while that is happening, especially in the AI space where companies like, Manus and, things like Base 44 or other companies, where they get acquired really fast, especially if a company sees that a company is on the trajectory up and up, you will see this and notice this in many trend lines. All right. That a company with longevity, though, especially if they want to, a Salesforce actually acquired Slack some years ago. Some of you may actually remember this, but Slack was actually acquired by Salesforce. So now, like I said, their stock hasn't been doing so well. So to really shake things up, Mark Benioff, who's the founder of Salesforce, had to do something. And so, in my opinion, this is what he did. He went after, again, Fin. That was a growing company, but they've been around for quite some time. All right. So some of the lessons in this acquisition that you can actually learn from this is that, listen, I call it the pivot, right? Intercom is arguably the only late stage software company to successfully pull off a complete pivot to AI. They were actually one of the few companies. Let me kind of show you this. They were actually, so you guys can see it, right? You guys can see this. You can see right here. Like I said, man, $3.6 billion Salesforce is acquiring Fin. All right, and they're expected to close in the fourth quarter of 2027. Man, that's shout out to them. When you guys are building, I tell people all the time, man, it's nothing like having your company be acquired, especially when you work hard and you put in the work. It's always amazing to be able to have your hard work be rewarded, right? And they've been, like I said, they've been around for like 15 years, man. So shout out to them. They've done some awesome, amazing things. And like I said, they didn't just add a wrapper. They actually rebuilt this entire company around agents because, as you heard me talk about over the past week, right? We talked about how agents are not necessarily there 100%. However, you're going to see this kind of pivot and this rise and more companies that are going to be required for AI agents. So one of the things, if you're watching this, I would say is that you definitely can. If you are building something, you can insert AI agents, especially if you have an AI product. AI agents are going to be very pivotal and very valuable in the next year to come. All right. And the market reaction to this was, all right, like I said, Salesforce, the stock has been on its longest losing streak on record, is nearly down 40%, which is crazy, right? From its peak. And this acquisition kind of gives them immediate credibility in the AI agent wars against upstarts. All right. So, like I said, when you see companies like Salesforce start to acquire a certain startup, or in this case, it's not a startup, once you start to see a company like Salesforce acquiring, you start to see where the writing on the wall is. And the writing on the wall, in my opinion, is that AI agents are only going to grow in popularity. So if you have again, if you're thinking about acquiring a company, make sure that you have, like, AI agents are only going to get smarter, better. If you are building something, you need to inject this into your actual product or your service. All right. AI agents are here to stay. All right. And that leads to the next topic, which is Stripe. Stripe put in a $53 billion bid. Crazy, right? So Stripe actually put in a $1 billion bid, but they actually did it with a private equity firm, Advent, to actually acquire PayPal. Again, you guys are noticing a trend here. The companies that are growing the most, after they get to a certain level, they start to acquire other businesses. It's how you actually grow your company, and you grow in general, is either having add-on services or you're able to, again, acquire. All right. So the offer is roughly $50 billion for that particular bank. As you guys know, PayPal does have a bank, and Stripe and Advent would actually own PayPal equally. All right. And so this would actually give, you guys can see this would give Stripe within, like, Stripe is the leader in a lot of companies, but this would actually make Stripe a dominant player in the market. All right. Because again, Stripe handed $1.9 trillion in that same period. Okay. And so again, when a company like PayPal right now is cutting a lot of cost, Stripe will become, and I like to say this, Stripe will become the undisputed king of global payments, right? So that's the biggest thing. You want to make sure that you're following this, because again, that's why we look at, and we're going to look at some of these kind of processes at the towards the end of the show. Which again, I just want to say thank you guys so much, man. This is the second episode of Tech Thursdays, man. Thank you guys for tapping in. Make sure that you share this episode out. Make sure also that you like and subscribe and comment, man, on this episode and how it's giving you insights. And the goal, like I said, of Tech Thursdays is to give you more insights to be able to be at the table when it comes to technology, to build the future, and to also allow for you to invest in the future. So that is our goal. That is our mission, is to help everyone, not just, and it's my opinion that technology is being democratized, right? Technology is being democratized. Now, not the small select few have access to this trillion-dollar industry, but everyone can have a seat at the table. And that is what this show is designed to do, is to show you not just the news, but also give you tools and everything that's coming out. All right. So let's keep going. All right. So, like I said, Stripe at that $50 billion with a B, it will allow for Stripe to become the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world of payments. All right. So like I said, man, when you're in a market, competition is heating up. You always want to dominate. And one of the ways that companies do dominate is, again, when a company isn't scaling as fast or having financial trouble or growth trouble, then you will see companies that are doing well be able to come in and acquire them to become, like I said, the undisputed champion. Okay. And Stripe is clearly trying to essentially have a payment monopoly. All right. That's what Stripe is trying to do. They are trying to have a payment monopoly. Now let's move on real quick to Google Vids. If you have not heard, Google has essentially a new version, a new tool out. It's called Google Vids. Just so y'all know, man, where I stand, it's an AI powered creator. Let me show you guys this. It's an amazing tool. Just going to review it. This is one of the things that you guys can see here. It's an AI-powered creation tool. Basically, you can include yourself. You can actually essentially create. This is a new tool that they just rolled out. You can record education videos. You can start creating. You can do, I think I was reading this, you can actually do different videos. Kind of remind me of Loom, right? Loom video. This is something like Loom. But they also said, man, that you can also build out your company tools with prompts. I've been testing it out a little bit. I'm not going to say that like I'm super crazy impressed, like, because one of the things that I was a little bit disappointed, and some of you probably heard me say this, but I am not the biggest Google fan. I feel like they try to release a lot and they don't necessarily finish up a lot of the tools that they have. I had some very big like expectations, and I was so excited about Google VO, right? Because we were using Google VO a lot to edit our videos, and I just felt like, man, that tool has so much potential, right? It has so many, like when you compare the spec documents to other tools that like did AI editing, Google VO had that, and it's still a decent tool. It's just, I just feel like they didn't evolve that tool, man. I was a little bit disappointed in that. So, but I would say this is Google's enterprise play. What does that mean? You're going to notice something that a lot of companies like, Anthropic, and also, ChatGPT, which we're going to talk a little bit about some of what they're doing. All of them are pivoting. You guys are probably not seeing this, but there's a pivot going on where they realize that the only way to grow is to go after enterprise or businesses. Okay, because remember, ChatGPT, for a while they were making tools. They were doing a bunch of stuff for they had Sora. So Sora was supposed to be like ChatGPT's biggest competitor. And what ended up happening is they were like, listen, they started realizing that Anthropic was taking their lunch money. So they went out and they said, listen, we're going to make a pivot, And as you guys notice, there's, if you guys have heard of Codex, which is obviously Codex is the competitor to Claude Code. There's a lot of updates that have been happening with Codex, and Codex has really kind of changed a lot of things. So you're seeing that a lot of these companies like Google, like Open, ChatGPT, everything, they're starting to realize that the way that they have to grow is through basically enterprise, having their business be focused on companies. That's why you saw the languaging on that page was mostly around essentially like enterprise and enterprise languaging patterns. And I have a guesstimate that when you look at some of the specs as it relates to these AI models, you will see that Google is being left behind. And that's why I tell people, like, you can have an opinion about AI and say this is good, but I tell people slow down, be patient, because there's a war right now happening in AI where these companies are absolutely going against each other and they're competing. So one week you'll see like Anthropic is good, the next week ChatGPT is good. Like, there's just so many things. That's why I don't get into battles about which tool is better. I just use the consistent one, which, of course, I'm an Anthropic fan. I built a lot of skills. And if you are not utilizing right now AI in your business, then you're going to be left behind. So you should be utilizing things like Anthropic skills in your business. You should be utilizing and setting up processes. And that's what we use in our company. We have so many different ways, which I'll be doing future trainings, and especially a perfect time to promote the summit that we are hosting next week, July 22nd, man. Make sure that you don't miss the Apps Built with AI Summit. We are going live Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to be switching it up. Even if you've attended the summit, make sure you are there, because I am going to be building AI agents on day number 2, teaching you about apps and how you could tap in and also build the future. And as you guys are going to see, you're going to notice a pattern, because that's what I want to shift your mind to, is that in this, like, a lot of companies are switching more towards AI tools, AI coding tools. Coding tools are not here to stay. So like you're going to hear me say, if you're not building something, then you're going to be left behind. You need to be building something, or you need to be getting your company ready for the pivot. There's so many, if you guys are noticing a trend in a lot of these companies, right? Which is the trend is that companies pivot. Intercom was a customer support tool, and they were trying to find their way, and it took them a couple years, and they eventually evolved into AI agents. And then again, they started doing a lot of these things. So just wanted you to see that so that you can have this process as well. Okay. So that is one of the amazing, amazing things. All right. So let's get into the next process of the day. And that's really looking at, and this is kind of from the standpoint of more stocks, not necessarily super tech, but some of you may not have, or you may have seen it, but SpaceX, a lot of people were investing in that stock, right? So I'm not lying to you, like I was super tempted. And I actually did invest when it went down. But the honeymoon phase for a SpaceX IPO might be over, right? But I always like to say, in the first few months of an IPO anyway, you're going to see up and down. But after going public on June 12th and raising nearly $86 billion, SpaceX shares initially shot past $200. This week, the stock fell all the way back down to its IPO price of $135. Ouch. All right. So most people don't know this, which is why I watch before I invest. But this might be, again, this is not financial advice. This might be the time that you want to go ahead and grab some SpaceX stocks. All right. Because again, not financial advice, but you always like I always hear people say, when there's blood in the streets and people are scared, that's when you invest. When everybody is excited, that's when you kind of pull back and you kind of watch. All right. So that's literally my investment theory. So why did the SpaceX company, or should I say the IPO, crash? Only 4% of the company's shares are actually trading on the NASDAQ, all right, which creates a lot of volatility. So just so you know, only 4% of the company's shares are actually trading on the NASDAQ, and this creates a lot of volatility. Second, the broader tech market is deflating, and investors are pretty much say, look, we know what Elon is doing, and SpaceX is actually facing a major test this Thursday with the Starship launch, all right, which they had a major failure in May, all right? So again, everybody is watching this stock because the performance will dictate whether AI agents like Anthropic and OpenAI finally decide to go public, which I will again say to you, you need to be watching when both of these IPOs happen, all right? Because it's going to be, in my opinion, Anthropic and OpenAI is going to be some of the biggest IPOs. And again, I usually, if you can get the investment, go ahead and do it, because again, I think I'm going to be investing in Anthropic. I think if you hold that for some years, it's going to be amazing. All right. So that's just one of the biggest things. Like I said, SpaceX is the test case for massive capital intensive tech companies going public. And if they struggle, Anthropic and OpenAI might delay their IPO. So you want to make sure that you do that. All right. Now, here is something that is amazing, and it kind of shows you the capitalization of what is happening in tech right now. But Emergent, the AI coding tool, has just, and then this is going to show you where the capitalization, it should give you excitement about what is happening. But Emergent just raised, all right, I'm trying to pull this screen up, so give me a second, but Emergent AI just literally did a capital raise. And I told you guys, like, they just did a raise, so you guys can see this. But Emergent, let me just show you guys this real quick. Let's show you the story. Emergent, all right, Emergent just raised $130 million in their Series C round, all right? So it was actually led by private equity firm Craigus, which shows you that companies are still investing in AI tools. And it just shows you, and this is a connection to the first thing, right? So now they actually are doing revenue of around $120 million, which is up 70% in the last 4 months. They have 200 paying customers, all right? 200 paying customers. I didn't even know Emergent was doing that well. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was like, dang, 120. I told you guys, like, when you start talking about these companies, the valuations are absolutely crazy. So Emergent just got $130 million. And what it actually shows you is a couple different things, all right? Emergent proves that the biggest market for AI coding isn't making developers faster. It's about non-developers to build production-grade software. So that just actually shows you the market. It shows you what's happening in the market. Now, what does this mean for you if you are watching this? Well, it means that coding is here to stay, which is why you need to be building something. Or essentially, you need to be learning these skill sets, which I teach you again at the Apps Built with AI Summit happening next week. But you need to make sure, like I keep telling, everyone, like, this is here to stay, which is why also we're coming out in less than 30 days with our tool, Apps Built with AI, and it's going to be game changing. All right. How many of y'all excited about our tool? Let me know in the chat. I know some of you are on our wait list. If you are not, my team is in the chat. Team, drop the list to the Apps Built with AI wait list. You don't want to miss this. It's absolutely amazing when we drop it. It's going to be phenomenal. All right. So that's why you don't want to miss the Apps Built with AI wait list, where we are dropping our AI coding tool that we've been building as well. All right. So like I said, that's unicorn status, and that should show you that there's still a lot of wealth in when it comes to AI. There's a lot of wealth. There's going to be more wealth that's going to continue on. And that's why I'm excited about this space. It's just going to keep growing. All right. Now this is a segment that I love to talk about. And this should give you a lot of encouragement, right? The encouragement is this. And this is a segment as we switch to our wealth part, which is how do you generate more wealth? This is the segment where I am going to give you not five, but a couple different ways like stocks to either stock business or where the trend lines are happening to where you can literally grow a business or where you should be focused your time in the space when it comes to tech. But I want to encourage you with something, especially if you are a non-technical founder. But if you're watching this and you are a technical founder, you should really be focused on not just the capitalization of these companies as they grow, because you've been hearing kind of like this, at least I've been seeing it on social media, where people are talking, AI is going to bubble. Well, listen, let me just tell you, right? Everybody's always talking about and trying to predict a bubble, all right? And sometimes, as you know, the saying goes, sometimes you're right and sometimes you're right. Everybody has a chance to be right? If you take enough guesses, even if you're wrong 20 times, then sometimes you might be right, okay, some of the time. But don't let that stop you. There's just so many companies that are in the space, and there's just so much amazing things happening in the space that the capitalization is going to keep growing up. It's going to keep going up, and companies are going to spend more money as the technology gets better and also smarter. Last week, we talked about this, which was the fact that Mark Zuckerberg was frustrated because he's like, hey, this should be more advanced. And we are going to get there, especially as the competition heats up. All right, but let's go into the couple of stocks that I would say that these are tech stocks to watch. These are things that I will be watching if I were you. And in my opinion, some of the giving you guys wealth ideas of how you could generate more wealth in tech. All right. So the first one that I am going to advise you of, all right, this is where every week we look at different ways that I like to say the future can pay you, and the future is now. All right. So we're going to look at 3 tech companies tied to this week's news that you need to be watching. All right. Quick disclaimer, as I like to say every week, nothing in this segment is financial advice. I am not your financial advisor. Do your own research, invest before you actually invest a single dollar. Now that we got that out the way, let's talk about what I like to refer to as, a couple tech stocks that you need to be watching. This is the contrarian play. I call this the contrarian play because I talked about Salesforce stock that has been hammered recently. Is nearly down about 40% from its peak and is suffering long streak. All right. And let me just tell you, Wall Street has been terrified, and rightfully so. Wall Street is terrified of AI agents and also coding agents, because as many of us catch on and we start building these tools with things like Claude Code and apps built with AI and Lovable and all these other platforms, like Wall Street should be scared, okay? And that's why companies have to change and evolve and grow if they want to survive in the next 3 to 5 years, because of people like me and you that are learning the system of building these amazing companies. I tell you guys all the time, and I want you to understand this unequivocally. It's not hard to win in today's society. I know everybody wants you to think that you need $1 million before you can compete, or you need to have all this stuff. Stop listening to people. I always like to say that. Listen, hear people when they give an opinion, but don't listen to them 100%, because it could be the difference between you having success and you not having success. Here's a short story. I remember years ago, right? I was investing into this program that I wanted to be a part of. It was like a digital program. And I had one of my friends who told me not to invest. And it actually happened recently too, but he told me not to invest. And I was like, I want to see it for myself, right? And he didn't say anything bad about it. He just said, I don't think you should invest. And I invested in it. And from that investment, I made a lot of money. And not just from that, but I also was able to connect with the person who's hosting this actual program. And we became friends, and that went on to other deals. And the point that I'm making in today's society is that so many people are so used to listening to everyone's advice or what they see or somebody posting about it. But the point is like this, is that I'm telling you, if you are building something and you're using Claude Code or using Lovable, whatever it is, or you haven't yet, then make sure that you start building. Don't ever stop, no matter if you haven't mastered the whole system yet, because in growing a company, you have to have a couple different components that are in place to be able to do it. Firstly, and we're going to talk more about this stock, is distribution, which I talk more about this on the summit, but this is distribution. Distribution is how you find more of your customers. And that's the most important thing, is having distribution. If you don't have distribution, I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's how you're going to do it. But going back to the 3 stocks to watch, all right, again, not financial advice. The first one is Salesforce, all right. This acquisition, in my opinion, changed the narrative because it kind of puts them in the game. And that's why I think that Salesforce took this acquisition. I think they took this acquisition primarily because they wanted to be in the AI agent space. That's my opinion, because Finn has slowly but surely been really changing, okay? So Salesforce, in my opinion, bought this company that invented that kind of customer agent category. And like I said, some experts predict that the price of this stock is going to probably be between $220 and $350, okay? So if Salesforce can actually successfully integrate Finn's technology, then I will say that that stock is deeply undervalued, all right? And if they make another acquisition, you don't want to bet against some of these companies that have been in the space for a period of time. But these companies better watch out, because their lunch money will be taken if they do not evolve, change, or grow. Here is my second stock idea for you to invest. We talked about it earlier. It's all the kind of news that I talked about, which is Stripe. All right, Stripe is still, this would be like pre-IPO secondary market, but I want you guys to watch these stocks, especially if they go private, right? So Stripe is still a private company. It's actually valued at $150 billion as of February 7th. But what I will say is you can access it through secondary markets like Forge Global or Equity Zen. I don't have any affiliate links, but if you want to, again, access pre-IPOs, again, not financial advice, you do have access to things like Forge Global, Equity Zen, and again, whether or not that $53 billion PayPal acquisition goes through, Stripe is still the best, in my opinion, the best fintech company on the world. If you guys notice, ChatGPT, Anthropic, all these big companies, they use Stripe, okay? And last year, they processed $1.9 trillion last year. Crazy, okay? And they are very, very profitable, okay? So if they do acquire PayPal, we don't know. They become a monopoly. If it doesn't, they are still, alongside with Anthropic and ChatGPT, that's going to be one of the most anticipated IPOs of the decade. All right. That is what it is. Okay. So especially if they can get their own bank, and they can, and that's why I say, like, acquisition, you grow through acquisition. I want you to always remember this. You grow through acquisition or building stuff on top of what it is that you already have. You grow through acquisition. Always remember that. You grow through acquisition. All right, let's talk about the last stock, which is, and I talked about it again, SpaceX. Question is, do you buy the dip? All right, we just talked about SpaceX crashing back to its IPO price of $135. But Okay. What I will say is there's so many different things, and the current stock that kind of, like the way it's going up and down, okay, is due to that tiny 4% public float, okay? So a lot of these are longer term play, okay? So again, SpaceX could be a good buy. We don't know, all right? Now, let's go into the next segment. For my builders watching, this is the part of the episode where I'm going to give you a couple app ideas or tech ideas, right, in this space, both directly inspired by this week's news. And also, I'm going to bring the data, man. I always tell people, like, the data is where it is, like they say, people lie, but the numbers don't. The data never lies. All right. So let's talk about app idea. Number one, I'm going to give you guys app ideas that I've proven. If I wasn't so focused on building apps built with AI, one of the leading platforms for non-coders that's coming out, and I wasn't also building my company, my tech company, Maestro, this is what I would be building. All right, so app idea number one, actually piggybacking off of it. Let me know in the chat if you are excited about this. Like some people be, what I love this. One of my clients actually watches the show, and she was like excited, man. She was like, Justin, you gave me an idea, and she just kind of like started. She went into Claude Code, she started coding up, and she built her prototype. I'm telling y'all, man, you could get this stuff to market so fast with all of the tools that are out there. Okay, but let's go ahead and jump into app idea number one that I'm gonna give you. These are, again, research heavy that you can use to actually build out your idea. So app idea number one is fintech, or should I say fin for small businesses, a white label AI customer agent builder. All right. So as you've seen, when companies are buying, most people just think, oh, I couldn't develop something like this. But if you know about Salesforce and you know about these big giant companies, Salesforce is what? Salesforce is enterprise. Enterprise. The cheapest plan with Salesforce starts at $25 per user. And let me just tell you guys this, most small businesses never touch it. Okay. Now here's the idea. You can build a white label AI customer service agent that any small business can deploy in under 10 minutes. Okay. They don't need all this complicated CRM. They don't need to jump on the phone with a sales rep. Think of this. There are 33 small businesses in America, okay, that Salesforce probably will never serve. All right. And I want to give you some data. So because I told you people lie, but the numbers don't. The data never lies. Okay. So this is giving you guys some ideas. And I tell people this all the time. People pay for pain points. I was telling somebody this the other day. They're like, Justin, there's so much competition. Of course, companies are spending money. And as AI adoption happens, which I'm here to tell you that as much as you think that AI adoption has happened, it hasn't. Because like I told you, I've been in 5 rooms that I do this exercise just to see if the data will lie. And I say, raise your hand if you're a business owner and you are implementing AI in your business. Of course, I say, raise your hand if you use ChatGPT or Claude. Most people raise their hand. Then I ask another question. Raise your hand if you are actually also a business owner and you are actually implementing, you have AI agents or you have an app that your business is making money from. Literally 90% of the room's hands goes down. So I want you guys to understand this, right? Like, don't overthink this stuff. So here's the data. Global on app idea number one, which is an SMB AI agent. The global customer service market is $55.7 billion in 2026. Okay, where a single phone support call costing businesses an average of $8 to $12. And I'm telling you, like, I remember maybe about a year ago, man, like a year ago, they were supposed to change the game with customer support agents, and companies still do it, but we're just not there with the technology yet. Meaning the voice, the AI voice. Yes, there's some people that sound like it, just like I tell people with AI video. We're not there where people can't tell whether the person is real or not. To me, all those AI videos I see, they look AI. I don't know about y'all. Like, don't y'all think, like, to me, all them AI bots that people try to do with them clones, you can tell they're clones, okay? Nothing wrong with using them in your business, because I know people who use them, but I'm just telling you, the technology is going to get there. It's just not there where it looks 100%, where you'd be like, is that the person? Sometimes I do got to be taking them. I take them double takes. So I'll be like, was that the person? But most of the time I can tell that it is a AI bot. Okay. Same with this though. Same with this. So you guys know. So here's some other stats. 80% of small businesses report challenges in how they interact with customers across channels. And the AI chatbot market is valued at $11.8 billion in 2026 and is projected, watch this, projected by 2033 to reach $41.2 billion. So listen, the AI chatbot and the AI agent bot is not going anywhere. And I'll tell you this, we are launching one of my one of my older platforms, Maestro. That's one of the things that we actually injected into Maestro was an AI bot. Okay. So I'm telling you, when I did this data report, this is here to stay. All right. That market specifically for SMBs is going to grow from $194.6 billion to $567 billion by 2032. So what I will tell you is one of the trend lines that we are seeing in this space is that business leaders are realizing more than ever that customer service is important. Not to say that they didn't think so, but people are starting to realize that it costs more to acquire a customer, all right, than it is to lose a customer, okay? Or should I say keep a customer. So this is why this is going to be key. So if you are watching this, build some tech. If you haven't, build a tech in that space because it's amazing, all right? So like I said, man, the gap is this. The gap is Intercom, Zendesk, Salesforce. They all target mid-market and enterprise, right? But you can focus on small businesses, SMBs, and you can make it agentic. And again, in my opinion, I don't see a lot of dead simple AI native customer agents that, anybody can use from their phone. Okay, so you can build an MVP for this or inject it into your product. All right. All right. Let me know in the chat. Some of you are writing down. I can see you're like, oh my God, that's a good idea. All right, let's jump into app idea number 2, man. I'm only give y'all 2 that is amazing. And it kind of goes to, like I told you guys, people pay for, they pay for tools. They pay for things that actually make them more money. When you can save money, I told you guys, companies pay for tools based on a couple different mindsets. Mindset number 1, they want things that make their life easier. This is what companies pay for, software and technology tools. If you make their life easier, they will reward you. Okay. Number 2, they pay for things that help them grow or make them more money. All right. And that's one of the biggest things. Or 3, it helps them save money. Now, that's if your market is SMBs, business owners, those type of things. If it's not, again, still, you can apply that same principle to the same thing. Ease of use, making more or growing more if in a personal growth space, so you can grow more. And then also, again, you can save more. Now, here is app idea number 2. App idea number 2 is the payment fee optimizer, man, which is like a Stripe audit for small businesses. So this is kind of going off of the earlier idea that Stripe is there. But what I'll tell you, man, is like the average small business owner is losing about $2,400 a year to hidden payment processing fees, and they don't know it. So here's the idea that proves the pain point. The idea is this: you can have an app that connects to a small business's payment processor, and it actually uses AI agents. This is such a good idea, y'all. It uses AI agents where every transaction for overcharges, and it recommends the cheapest route. It also maybe makes even some suggestions where it can negotiate better rates. So here is the thing, right? 9 out of 10 merchants overpay on payment processing alone. Okay, the average small business owner loses $2,400 annually to hidden fees, batch fees, all type of stuff. Now, here's how you can actually beef this idea up to make it better. I want to give you even a better idea of how you can actually beef this idea up. You can actually, and I'm telling you, whoever does this is going to be insanely wealthy. I'm gonna just tell you this. I love giving people $1 million ideas and successful ideas, but let me just tell you, the person who does this is going to be insanely wealthy. Okay, insanely wealthy. Here's what you do. Outside of the payment optimizer, you can also add in payment audits. You can also add follow-up on failed payments using AI agents. This is so good, y'all. I hope somebody, if you do this, I'm telling you, you're going to get wealthy. Because I told you 3 things. Businesses love to save money. Businesses love to make more money. And businesses love to reduce their costs. I'm sorry, make it easy. So ease of use. If you can make a business owner's life easier, if you can make them more money, or you can also save them money. Those are the 3 main ways that they will pay for tools. And there's not a lot of tools that actually hooks up to merchant, use AI agents to essentially say, hey, you're overpaying, or how you can save on this processing fee by switching to ACH or something like that. But the biggest thing is that if you can help them recover, if you can add into this platform that you can help them recover payments using AI, and it can send out emails. I mean, there's so many ways that you can go with this app idea, but I'm telling you, man, it's so much. It's just so much money. Let me know in the chat if y'all see that. I love to give y'all ideas, man. I love, like, I get people that walk up to me, even when we have taught them the app process and we've taught them this whole process, who walk up to me and thank me. Like, this is the other day, somebody saw me and they were like, Justin, thank you. Like, I've built this tool, I have purpose. I'm telling you guys, like, if you don't have an idea and you're watching this, the best way to experience wealth in the technology space is to make sure that you are borrowing somebody else's idea. Guys, you don't have to have an original idea. There's just some of my companies, like, it's not original idea. The people who are successful, they're actually building ideas that are already out there. All right, that are already out there. So make sure that you are building something, and don't overthink this stuff. Like, that's one of my biggest advices to people is don't overthink what's happening right now. There's so many good ideas and there's so many problems. I just want to tell you this because so many people get caught up on perfectionism, or they get caught up in being overwhelmed. Guys, like, listen, this is the greatest time in history. There's so many, like, you could take, even if they tell you something is competitive, usually it's competitive in that space. One of the most brilliant ideas is that you could take something that's working in big business, like companies that, like I told you, Salesforce, they don't go after, they sometimes SMBs, but SMBs usually think it's too high for them. So guess what? You can take that product and you can move it to the SMB market. Or here's some other ideas. You could take a lot of these products and niche down. I teach this a lot in the Aspect with AI Summit, where you can niche down. Niche down, guys. Like, in the world of software and AI and tools and digital products, I don't see many people niching down. Like, I was just telling some of my students on the call the other day, I'm like, guys, like, I was telling a student she had a fitness app, and I'll be the first one in line because I love doing my daily walks. But I was like, go after women entrepreneurs with a piece of tech. The riches are in the niches, guys, but not just any niches. People are not taking niches and they're not chiseling down And then once you understand who your target market is, then you can go into the various distribution. Distribution is key. Okay, putting your offer in front of your customers and finding distribution is key. All right, let me finish up this idea and then we are gonna wrap this episode up. Y'all getting a lot of value? Let me know in the chat, man. If you are watching a replay of this live show or if you are here at the show, comment below, man, if you got a light bulb moment, if you've been encouraged, because again, that's why I'm gonna continue on with this show. Tech Thursdays, man, the goal, like I said, of this show is to democratize technology and actually help you build the future by providing you updates to what's happening in tech and AI, and most importantly, giving you ideas, wealth strategies, everything I can that could change your perspective and change your life, man. Comment below if this has even helped you in the couple of episodes that we have been live. All right, let's keep going. So like I said, the credit card processing industry is crazy. All right. So I want you guys to understand there's a lot of money that is happening in this space. So here's how you would implement it. Like I said, you can have something where they can connect their Stripe, their Square, their PayPal. Watch this, guys. Nobody's doing this. I'm just giving you this idea. Nobody's doing this. You can have a business connect their Stripe, PayPal, dashboard, everything. Analyze 90 days of transaction. This is so good. Somebody's going to come to me and be like, Justin, I made like $1 million from this. I'm telling you, nobody's doing this. But you can have literally a API connection where it connects to Stripe, PayPal, Square, everything. Analyze 90 days of transactions, and it generates a report to show how much the business is overpaying. And then they can have AI agents injected into this particular technology, and the AI agents will go out and collect even more payments, saving them more money, debt payments, payments that people failed payments, those type of things. Automate this entire process. And you could do, how can you make money from this? Well, you could charge a percentage. So some people are saying, hey, if we recover payments with AI agents, and then they could probably use the dashboard for free. There's so many different business models that you can do from this. You could give them access to the mapping for free, or what you could do is actually charge them a percentage, or you could do a flat rate where you can say $30, whatever it is. And guess what? People will continue to pay because nobody is addressing, in my opinion, this payment processing issue of overcharging and all of this money, right? I can't wait until we get to the day where I don't have to use. I wish they'd hurry up with some of this digital currency stuff. So I'm also getting tired of paying 2.9% and all this stuff, right? So I want that to be a shakeup in the industry. But until that happens, you can tap into this by, like I said, creating a payment fee optimizer and bolting on other things with AI agents that can tap into this tool, and then you can also build it out. So I'm excited, man. That's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right. So let me just show you guys this last thing. It's like a rapid fire kind of thing, which is just to show you, man, like this AI agent isn't going anywhere. You can see here, OpenAI launched a keypad for AI agents. All right. So you can actually order a limited desktop keypad that lets agent maxers monitor and control their different AI. So you can kind of see, man, like this AI agent thing is only going to get bigger. Okay. And AI agents are only going to evolve. Now, the company, though, that actually cracks the code on this, in my opinion, of making because, you know, right now, OpenClaw, all these things, they're very, very built for not the everyday person. That's what Mark Zuckerberg, in my opinion, that's like the race, in my opinion, that most people are doing right now, like bigger companies. The race is this. The race is to see who can build an AI agent for the average person, similar to what prompting did to the industry almost maybe a decade ago or less. Okay. That is my opinion of where a lot of these companies are building for, is how can they build these agents? How can they make AI smarter? How can they build AI agents for coding that can code while you sleep? How can you do customer service? The company that does crack that, in my opinion, is going to be a multi-trillion-dollar company. And again, It's going to be amazing. Like we talked about last week, like Anthropic, they releasing this tool and the government was like, no. And we had that government oversight stuff. So that is just, in my opinion, man, like this is one of the things that we are doing. So that is this week's breakdown, the consolidation, and kind of recapping what we talked about, man. Make sure that, again, Salesforce, I got that buy-in. Look at the stocks. All right. Salesforce did buy Fin, but that's an opportunity for you to either take that concept, go into a small business market. Stripe, we had talked about Stripe going after PayPal, man. The lesson is clear, right? The big fish are eating the innovators. Okay. And that's just one of the amazing things, man, that's happening in the technology space. But I want to encourage you before we end this week's live session. I want to encourage you, if you are building something, I tell people this all the time, you're either at 3 phases in your building process. 1, if you're in the idea phase and you don't know how to move on to that phase, man, just borrow somebody's idea, make it better. Even $1 trillion and $1 billion companies, man, they're not perfect. They make so many mistakes. So I use so many examples in summits that I do where I talk about companies. They say, oh, don't compete with this company. And I'm here to tell you, like, there's people that really do understand and be like, yo, I'm going to compete with this company because I see that they're not doing everything 100%. So don't listen to people. That's also the big lesson. Go and find a market gap. If you are in the idea space, if you're at the idea level, go and find that market gap, that ability to create that market gap so that you can able to be capitalize on that, and find that market gap so that you can actually be able to build your idea. If not, go borrow an idea. I gave you 2 ideas that you can implement tonight. 2 ideas that you can literally implement tonight. Just take action. Borrow the ideas. Go watch last week's episode where I talk about 2 other ideas that you can implement. Okay. Like, don't let this time go past. If you're in the building phase, either you started building, go all in, build it. I was watching a video today that talked about getting to market fast. So many people, I was telling some of my students, like, stop overthinking ideas. The fastest way that you're going to get market traction is finding distribution and also being able to basically get a product to market. I was telling my team this. I'm like, we are going to get this coding tool to the market very fast. Okay. Don't allow yourself to overthink ideas. Don't allow yourself to sit on there and be overthinking. Like, just launch, baby. Everybody put launch in the chat. All right, put launch in the chat. Put launch in the chat. Let me know. Put launch in the chat. Always be launching. Always be launching. Like, even if your last launch didn't work out the way that you wanted it to, nobody can tell. Nobody knows that your last launch didn't work. Okay, if you have the fear of failure or the fear of success, don't worry about that. We all fail sometimes. We all succeed sometimes. It's okay. Don't let those things stop you from building the future that could change someone's life. So if you're in the building phase, launch it. Press the live button. Do whatever it takes. Go through the process. And if you are at the 3rd level where you are looking to scale, then you need to block out the noise and you need to go all in on a distribution channel, or you add another distribution channel like we are. Literally this week alone, we were successful. We've been successful with Facebook. We started looking at other distribution channels. We started looking at, things like other ad platforms, other newsletters. Guys, like, every phase, wherever you're at, has a solution to boost you to the next phase. Every phase that you're currently at has the ability to catapult you to the next phase. You just have to get out of the fear of indecision. Like most people are, they're in this indecision part, and it stops them from actually getting to the next level. This is the greatest time in history. And that's what I always say. My vision is to always tell you that is this the greatest time in history. Keep going, keep learning, keep evolving, and keep being a builder that is going to change the world. Drown out the noise for 6 months. Like I tell my people, if you drown out the noise for 6 months, then the next 6 months are going to look absolutely beautiful, and it's going to change your life. All right. So with that being said, this has been the Tuesday episode of Tech Tuesdays, man. Tech Tuesdays. We also have next week the Apps Built with AI Summit happening for you. So we probably will skip a week, just so you guys know, because I do have the virtual summit next week. So we'll be back the following week, all right, for the Tech Thursday. So actually, I'm going to tell you guys, when we do have a show, when we do have a summit, we probably won't be doing Tech Thursdays. But let me know in the comments, man, how you guys enjoying this amazing tech show, man. Let me know in the comments how you love it. Are you guys loving it? Let me know in the comments, man. With that being said, this has been Tech Thursday. I said Tech Tuesdays. Tech Thursdays. Thank you, guys. Make sure if you want to learn how to build AI tools, like some of the things I talked about, appsbuiltwithAIsummit.com, appsbuiltwithAIsummit.com, where you're going to get on that list, and we are going to be doing our summit next week. All right. So I look forward to seeing some of you. Remember this, the future is now. See you guys soon. Make sure you subscribe to stay updated. I'll see you guys soon. All right. Peace.